Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Fishing with Big D. Today I have a short DIY project for you guys to take a look at. This is a neat fishing hack. I come up with this a couple of years ago. I carry it around in my fishing pack. It is easy to use, simple to make and produce, and very cheap and cost effective. Alright guys, let's step into this video and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about right now. Alright, so springtime is upon us. The birds are chirping. The trees are beginning to bloom. That grass is getting real bright and green. And a new fishing season is upon us. So if you're like me, you're out there in the building, you're digging all that fishing gear out, and you're getting ready for your new season. So a part of that is pulling out your old rods and reels. You're checking them, you're cleaning them up. I'm going through my eyelets looking for imperfections and burrs, anything that could cost me a fish with a line cut or a nick. And then I go to work on my reels. I like to take them apart, clean the debris out of the bearings that I could get to, re-grease and pack them. I like to check my gears and oil those as well. But one of the most tedious, long processes that tends to give me a major headache when doing it is the process of respooling my fishing reels. So if you're like me and most other fishermen and anglers, you have more than one fishing pole in your arsenal. If you're trying to take and respool 15 reels at one go, yes, this is going to be a nightmare and a headache and quite time consuming. Just because look at all the time it's going to take when trying to remove all of that old spooled line off of these reels. You're going to end up with a big spirally tailed mess and just an overall dreaded process. I know it is for me. Most likely you guys will agree. So over the years, I've come up with different solutions to help me speed this process up. And over time, I've begun to evolve it and make modifications to make it better. If you'll remember, a couple of years ago, I did the video where I took my power drill tool and a simple pencil and was making a quick process of removing and stripping this old line. It was very functional and it worked well, but since then I have upgraded it to this new process, and it allows for some other specialty features, such as instead of getting rid of line, you can also use this new processing tool that I've made to transfer from one reel to another. So if you're just wanting to change maybe the size and poundage of your line off of one reel, but you don't want to throw that line away and waste that money, you can transfer it to this spool and then be able to respool it to another fishing pole, which is a really cool process that I couldn't do before, and just an overall improvement. This new system is also going to help you in managing this leftover unwanted line. You're not going to have a big mess, and it's going to be quite simpler in the whole process and go around. All right, guys, so I'm going to pull the materials together and show you what you're going to need for this project and improvement, and we will go from there. All right, guys, so I've switched you up to first-person view so you can have an overview of me putting this together. It's quite simple to do. You're only going to need two items. That is a old spool. If you're a fisherman like myself, you've got a couple of these laying around. And I have a long bolt here. Not for sure the size. You're just going to want to try to match one up that fits the hole snug, and you can still go in and out with it quite easy. I also have one of these nuts. I think they call it either a lock nut or a jam nut. It has a little nylon bushing in it so that when you tighten this down, it locks up on the threads so that vibration and movement doesn't cause it to slowly unthread itself. A neat little gadget that they've come up with. And then I just have these two tools here that I'm going to use in the process. Alright guys, we're ready to assemble this. It is very simple to do. All I'm going to do is take my bolt. Now you can use any kind that you want. All you're going to need is a hex head or something to stop it on both ends. You could use a hex head with some washers. You know, whatever works for you. I just chose what was laying around. So in my particular case, this one has a little square notch on the top here underneath the mushroom head or the button head. And I think that will work well when I go to throw it through the hole like so. As you can see, it doesn't fully go through. I have that square notch. But I'm going to take some pressure and apply that really hard there, and it pops in snug. That's going to prevent this from free spinning on the bolt, which works out really well in my particular case. So I'm just going to apply enough pressure and get that in there good and tight and snug. And we are ready for the next process, which is threading on this jam nut or lock nut, whatever you want to call it. You're just going to screw this in until you meet the resistance. The resistance is going to come from that little nylon bushing in there. Once your threads start to cut through that, it'll make it through the top of the bolt. You're going to thread this nut all the way down in place so that it's locked, and it's going to prevent this from slipping altogether. Now, you'll probably need some tools to help you do this. I'm just going to use these to clamp it and begin to work that nut until I can get it through the jam part here and down to the bottom. Now, this is going to become quite tough when you get to working it that way. You might even have to poke the head back out and use a second pair of pliers to hold it in place, which is what I'm going to do now. Alright guys, so I've made it to the spool part. I'm just going to tighten it so it's snug, but don't overdo it. You'll bust your actual spool. I'll unlock my tool here and allow for that to slide up. We'll have to press the button back down like so, and we will continue the threading process from here. So I've just switched the clamp up so I'm on the very end of the button there, and I'm keeping that spool as close to the bottom as possible, and I'm continuing to tighten this nut to get it all the way to the bottom. Alright guys, so we got our finished product here. We've got our despooler, that's what I like to call it. You take the threaded end, take a common drill, you're going to open it up the attachment device piece here, thread that in, then you're going to tighten it till it locks in place like so, and now you have a fast and effective way to despool your fishing line. All I'm going to do is take the old fishing reel, take the line, set that there. I'm going to tie it around this spool like so. Just a simple double overhand knot is all I'm going to use just to get this going. And we are ready to start. You're going to want to open the bail so that you can pull the line off freely. You'll hold the reel in your hand, and you're just going to take your drill and begin to process. Like so. It's really, honestly guys, that simple and easy to do. I will be able to spool through this in no time. I do not recommend going really fast while trying to manage the line back and forth with your hand, because it can cut you. And there you have it. I'm down to the bottom where my knot is. I'm just going to reel it up as far as I can get it, and I will cut that line, or I'll just break it. Real easy to do. And now I'll unscrew my attachment from my drill. Well, let me break that now. There we go. And it's that easy. I just unspooled half a spool's line right there, literally in just a matter of a minute or so. Be sure to be careful. You don't want to get too far. You'll burn your skin with the line, or you might even cut it. But it's simple and easy to do. That's my disclaimer.